Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. File Transfer Protocol, FTP. FTP makes use of TCP/IP as well for copying a file from one host to another. Okay, so the main function of FTP is to transfer files. That's why the name itself suggests File Transfer Protocol. Now, we can transfer files using HTTP as well. But the reason why we use FTP is because it is more stable. It allows us to transfer bigger files, large files. And the other advantage is that we have different file formats. So we have different operating systems, Unix, Linux, Windows, okay, different systems, and each one of these systems has got its own file format. And when we use FTP, FTP actually gives us a standard platform so that no matter what file format it is, when we're using FTP, the transfer is taking place in a common way between the sender and the receiver. So this is why it is advantageous to use FTP for file transfer purposes. Now let's look at the system. How does it work? We have, at the client side, we have a user interface, and we have a control process and a data transfer process. The data transfer process is linked to the file system from where we want to transfer the information. The server would have the control process and a data transfer process as well, which is linked to the remote file system too. Now in FTP, we have two types of connections that are going hand in hand. Okay, so we have a control connection. The control connection is making use of TCP port number 21. So instead of having just one connection between the client and the server, where you're sending both data and control information, what FTP does is it divides the connection into two parts. So we have one for the control and we have one for data. So only data will go through this connection and only control information will go through this connection. So the control connection makes use of port number 21 and the data connection makes use of port number 20. So these are the well-known TCP ports that are being used for FTP. And the two connections will also have different lifetimes. When we want to start an FTP transfer between the client and the server, we establish the control connection first. But once the connection is established, it remains throughout the lifetime of that session. Okay, so we could be sending 10 files. If we're sending 10 files, every time we send a new file, we will have a new data connection. But the control connection will remain the same. It will not be affected. And then once we finish the transfer of all 10 files, only then, when the session completely ends, only then will the control connection end. So the control connection remains connected during the entire interactive FTP session, and the data connection will be opened and then closed for each file transfer activity. right? So this is how we have the two different connections. Now, more information about the control connection. This makes use of the NVT ASCII character set. Okay, that's a special type of ASCII set, and both the sides, when whoever uses FTP will make use of the NVT ASCII character set. Why is this? This is so that both sides know what the information means. So there should be no surprises. Oh, what does this character mean? What does this command mean? There should be no surprises. So both sides have settled on the NVT ASCII character set. And the communication is achieved through commands and responses. Simple way, a command is sent and a response comes back. Okay? One at a time. So some of the well-known FTP commands here, we have FTP commands are mainly 4 letters, right? Mainly 4 letters. So this should really be abort, because we are aborting a command, but because we use only 4 characters, we will be using the first 4 letters. So it's abort. Okay, and this would abort the previous command. So if we have issued a command to, let's say, initiate a file transfer, and then we suddenly realize we don't want to go ahead with it, we can cancel it using the abort command. CD up, change to parent directory, go 1 level up. CWD, change to another directory. Delete, you're deleting a file. List, you're listing the directories and subdirectories and files. Make directory, okay. Pass, user password. Pass V is the case where the server will choose a port and inform the client about this port number. The port command, in this case, the client will choose a port. Why do we need this? If we remember, we said in TCP that we have well-known ports and we have free ports. So the well-known ports are being used to contact the server. So when the client contacts the server, it will send a request to port number 21 for the control connection and for port number 20 for the data connection. So this is for the server side. What about the client side? What are the port numbers that we're using on the client side? So to mention this to the server, the client will make use of the port command and the port number next to it. PWD, you're displaying the current directory, quit to log out, retrieve files, rename or remove a directory, remove a directory, and rename a file. So we are identifying a file that will be renamed to a new command. So rename file, we're giving the command together with the old name of the file. And then we give the new name. So rename to, so we would first say rename from the old name, and we give the second command rename to the new name. Store the files, right? Where are we going to store the files that have been transferred from the client to the server? What type of a data organization is it in the file? Is it a file, which is a continuous stream of bytes, or is it a record, which is a block of information, or is it a page? This will specify it. Then we have the type. Is it an ASCII file? Is it an EBCDIC? Is it an image? The user ID, user information, and then we have the mode of transfer. Is it a stream? Are we going to transfer it in the form of a stream, which is a continuous block, continuous stream of bytes, okay? Is it just a stream or is it a block? So are we sending blocks of information or is it a compressed file? This would be decided by the mode. The responses that we get are in the form of codes and their descriptions. Okay, so we have different types of FTP codes. Now looking at the data connection, the data connection is made using port 20 at the server. In this case, the client will first issue a passive open. Okay, so it will use one of the ephemeral free ports and issue a passive open. Once it does this, it will then contact the server and send it the port number. Okay, so we have the connection open, and then the client will inform the server that when you send the information back to me, send it to this particular port number which is given in the command. The server then receives this command, receives the port number, and then issues an active open between. So let's say if the port number given by the client was 51,200, then the client will send this information using the port command to the server. The server, when it receives this, it will open an active data connection, and this will be between port number 20 at the server and port number 51200 at the client. Right? So this is how we establish the data connection. So this was a basic functioning of FTP. The next video covers electronic mail.